Okay, this is a story about when I was a little boy. I grew up in southeastern Pennsylvania, and I lived on a small farm there with my parents. And this probably happened when I was in grade three or grade four, something like that. Christmas time came, and I was so excited because what I was getting for Christmas, of course. And when I opened my Christmas present, there, I had gotten a new electric train. It was amazing. I set up the track. It had a control. I could make it go faster, slower. It had a light on the front of the engine. I could put little pills in the smokestack and it would puff smoke when it went around the track. I had so much fun while I was off on Christmas break playing with my train. But the time came when Christmas break was over and I was supposed to go back to school, but I didn't really want to go back to school. So I got up one morning and I was thinking about what could I do? How could I not go to school? And I thought, well, if I was sick, then I wouldn't be able to go to school. My mom wouldn't make me go to school if I was sick. And the other thing that was in my advantage was that my mom did not have a driver's license. Now, I don't know why she didn't have a driver's license, but maybe, well, there's a story about why she didn't have a driver's license. First of all, my mother got married to my father when she was, don't tell anybody, but she was only 17 years old. She was born in December of 1926, and she got married in October of 1944. So she was almost 18. In 2 more months, she would have been 18. But she was 17 when she got married. She did not have a driver's license. My father was going to teach her to drive. So she got a learner's permit, and he was driving with her, and he was teaching her to drive, and she was driving, and they went down the road, and they got to a corner, and somehow she didn't make it around the corner, and she ran off the road and hit a telephone pole and crashed the car. So she said, that's it. She's not driving. She doesn't have to learn how to drive. So she did not drive until she was over 40 years old. Then she got a driver's license. When I was in fourth grade, my mother did not have a driver's license. So I knew if I could stay home until the school bus left, then my mother wouldn't be able to take me to school. My father was at work. I'd be home free for the day. So I went downstairs and I told my mother, "Oh, I feel sick. I feel awful." And she's like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I don't know. I just feel really bad. I feel sick." So she laid me down on the sofa, put a blanket over me. She took my temperatures, stuck the thermometer in my mouth, and she looked at it and she said, "You don't have a fever." And I said, "I might not have a fever, but I feel really bad. I feel sick." And she was like, "What hurts?" I said, "Everything hurts. My head hurts. My arms hurt. My belly hurts. Everything hurts. I don't feel good at all." So she said, "Okay, well, you can stay home from school." So I stayed on the sofa and I was so happy. Oh, I thought this is working. It's working. And then my brother and my sisters, they went off to school. The school bus came. They left. It's like, yes, this is so good. This worked. So not too long after the school bus left, I told my mother, okay, I feel pretty good now. I think I'll get up and play with my train. And she was like, oh, no, you don't. You're not doing that to me. You said you were sick. You're going to stay on the sofa all day, and that's where you're going to be for the day. So there I was. I was on the sofa all day long. Under the blanket, I couldn't get off the sofa. I could read some books, but that was about it. I looked at my train from the sofa. I felt so bad. But at the end of the day, my brother and my sisters came home I could get off the sofa, I could play with my train. A few weeks later, I got up and I did feel awful. I felt really bad. And I told my mother, I feel really bad. And she's like, oh, no, you're not playing that trick on me again. You're going to school. So I went to school and I didn't feel good. And the longer I was at school, the worse I felt. And that day I did have a fever. Partway through the day, my school teacher said, you are too sick to be in the classroom. So she sent me to the principal's office. I had to go see the nurse and I had to lie down on a cot in the principal's office. They called my mother, but she did not have a driver's license. She couldn't come and pick me up. So I was stuck at school until the school bus went home. When I got home, my father wasn't home from work yet. My mother couldn't take me to the doctor. I felt so bad. Finally, my father came home from work. I think we ate dinner. We went to the doctor's office. By that time, my fever was very high. I got to the doctor's office, and the doctor, now I was famous in the doctor's office because you see, Merle isn't my first name. Ezra is my first name. Now, my first name, Ezra, that was my mother's father's name. So I was named for my grandfather. But at the time I was born, Ezra was not a very popular name. So my parents didn't call me Ezra, they called me Merle. But my first name really was Ezra. When I was a preschooler, one time I went to the doctor and the nurse asked me, what is your name? And I knew that my first name was not Merle, but I couldn't remember what it was. And I knew it was my grandfather's name. So I told the nurse, my name is Grandpa Merle. And everyone laughed. And every time I would come to the doctor's office after that, they would always call me Grandpa Merle. So I went to the doctor's office. Grandpa Merle was there. I was in grade 4. I got there. I was so sick. I sat on the chair. The nurse came and was checking me out. And I had got my fever got so high that I was delirious. Delirious means you see things, you imagine things that aren't really real. And I fell off the chair. And they asked me, why did you fall off the chair? And I said, that nurse pushed me off the chair. And they said, no, she didn't. I said, yes, she did. They got me up on the chair. The doctor said, yeah, he's very sick. And I had pneumonia. So I had to go home. I missed about 2 weeks of school because I had pneumonia. I know it was a good lesson for me to be truthful and not to say that I'm sick when I'm not sick because it didn't work out very well for me. Because then when I really was sick, my mother didn't believe me. So it's a good idea. Be honest, be truthful, and to always tell the truth, even though it might not get you what you want.